All right, it's late December. It's almost Christmas. Everybody's thinking about Christmas, but really, let's be honest, everybody's thinking about Bonnaroo. If you're listening to this, you're thinking about Bonnaroo. We are,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. You're probably just ready for Christmas to be over with, so then it's the new year and the lineup.
That's exactly right. That's what we're all thinking about is that sometime in the next several days, we're going to get the lineup.
Mhm.
And Russ, an educated guess tells me it's going to be sometime around the 10th, somewhere in that
Somewhere
area.
around, yeah.
I it seems like it's earlier and earlier, but I actually looked and in 2020 it dropped on January 7th. So it's going to be around next couple of weeks,
Yeah,
right?
careful talking
We're
about
going to
comparing anything to 2020. We don't wanna get some bad
Fair
vibes. Yeah.
enough. Fair enough, but my point is in some ways it seems like that's really early, but I don't think it is. And in part because other festivals have announced theirs already. Shaky
That's
Knees,
right.
for example,
Mhm.
as we mentioned before, great lineup. And business wise, we've sort of talked about it. We think you don't want to wait too long because you're trying to sell tickets, and so you don't want the competition to get out there and outsell you when you're trying to sell your own ticket. So we expect that very soon.
Exactly.
Uh, w-
And a lot of
yeah,
people
we've
wait
got
until the lineup to buy their tickets. A lot of people say, "Well, I don't wanna buy a ticket until I know who's going." Obviously, we're not that
right.
way.
No, we're not, and we have a guest today. Uh, what's she say? She's been to almost 10.
Mhm.
And so isn't it amazing how many people we talk to that say, I don't really care about the lineup? It's about the event and all, and that truly is amazing to me.
Yeah, that's a very common thread with a lot of people that we talk to that have been going a long time. And eventually, yeah, the lineup probably might get you interested, but eventually, the reason you come back is not the
Yeah.
music. I mean, it's definitely a plus.
Yeah, I mean, there can be really bad lineups, and there can be maybe somebody on a lineup that will cause whatever percentage of people to say, "That's my favorite band ever, I'm
Hmm.
going," or "My favorite act." Um, and we certainly have heard, there's always people who say, "Oh, it's terrible." There's always gonna be
Yeah.
those guys. But it's amazing again the number of people, and we talked to Cassie here in a little bit, our guest this week, and she's like, I don't care. It, you know, uh, I go for the event. I love it. It's the only time she goes to something like this,
Hmm.
just like us. Well, no, you've gone to more, but camping, the full week long camping
Yeah,
like
this is the only
this.
one I'll go for a week. Yeah.
Right, right. That's what I meant.
Hmm.
Um, I do want to say and give a shout out to our buddies over at Ruham. I thought they had a great episode they put out almost 10 days ago or so, 2 weeks ago. If you're at all into the rumor and who's coming and who you'd like to see, I thought they did a great job.
Hmm.
Michael and Jake and Parker, and I always joke Parker and Reed.
Yeah.
Uh, both of them. But they did a really, really good job. Took a deep dive in and brought up some other questions and topics and stuff that we've gotten into. But one of them, I did want to sort of mention. If you've gone to the website, the Bonnaroo.com website, you'll notice a link to Manchester hotels. I don't know if you noticed that,
No.
Russ, or if you heard them talking about it, but the question was sort of, what's that about? Because Bonnaroo is a camping experience, right? That's You and I have said, I've never left the farm. Once I'm in, I'm in.
I don't leave. Yeah.
And yeah, the whole idea of like leaving to go to the Walmart or to the Holiday Inn to use the bathroom or whatever, to me kind of breaks the spell.
Hmm.
I've just never done it. And I've certainly never done the drive back and forth to Chattanooga, though I thought about it last year and actually thought I was going to have to because of a change in jobs. Um, didn't want to because, like I said, it kind of breaks the spell. But it's interesting to me to see Bonnaroo actually putting a link to the hotels in Manchester and even some of the sites. And it kind of asks, why do you think they did that? My guess is it's politics. We've talked about on here before the city and the county. There've been a little discussion, shall we say? You know, is this worth it? Are we giving them too much? Are we
Oh
not
yeah.
asking enough? There was an issue a couple of years ago. I'll just be honest, where the festival was kind of concerned that the hotels were price gouging, and it was going to maybe be an issue. So is this a compromise?
You
You
never
know,
know. Yeah, and of course, Barry, with these small towns out here in the South, I mean, there's a lot of, good old boys running these things, and there's a good chance that probably somebody on the city council is either owns a hotel or is friends with someone who owns a hotel and probably made a deal like that.
sure, sure, or legitimately raise the question: Are we giving away the farm?
Hmm.
Pardon the pun. Are we giving away too much? And maybe this is a compromise. I'm not trying to be at all ugly about it. I think it makes some sense. Manchester and Coffee County um, don't have a lot going on other than this big. I mean, you're talking about 80
Correct.
to 90,000 people that come to a small town and a 700-acre farm for 3 weeks. The bulk of it is 1 week, but the staff and all that are there for a couple of
Oh
weeks
yeah,
prior,
they're out
setting
there
everything up.
constructing,
That's right.
everything, and yeah, didn't
That's right.
Manchester become like the fifth largest city in
Yes.
Tennessee that weekend?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I don't have a problem with it. It's interesting to note that maybe this is the
Hmm.
compromise, because I do know there was some serious talks going on a couple of years ago. And so maybe this is the compromise. And, I don't have a problem with it. The other side of it is not everybody wants to sleep in a tent, even a fancy yurt, that's been set up. Some people want to stay in a hotel.
Sure, some people just won't, yeah, won't camp no matter what, and they, would
Correct.
probably rather not go if that's their only choice. So, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of people that'll choose that option.
That's right. And they've tried to do that with including Nashville, a little bit with Chattanooga,
Hmm.
with the car
Yeah, they used to have
service,
shuttles. Hmm.
shuttles. So maybe this is just more of the same. So um, you know it's just interesting. It's part of the evolution of this festival.
It is.
We've done it. I've been going since the first year. You've been going since 2018, and we definitely have seen every year there are pretty significant changes. um, and that's what we like. We like the sausage making.
Yeah, we get into we love the behind the scenes stuff, and the
Yeah,
background processes, and how all this evolves, and yeah, the changes from year to year. Yeah, even
right.
in
And we
just really the short time that I've been going, it's changed a lot since 2018.
It's changed tremendously. The camping, the a la carte, and we
Hmm.
talk a little bit with Cassie about that. Um, and we'll probably get into that more when we get some of the guys on from C3 to talk about how that went. Um, we talk about the pricing, and it used to be you bought a ticket and you drove your car and you went with your buddies and you put up a canopy and you camped.
Hmm.
And now there are so many different options: RV, yurts. Um, it's incredible. Um, and so I think it's smart on their part to figure. They're trying to figure out a way that nearly everybody can go.
Yeah, I think they're really following the customer and trying
Yeah,
to
I
give as
think so
many
too.
options as possible.
I think so too. And
Yeah,
I think again, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist guy about the hotels, but I do think it's somewhat the politics. But I also think um, it's another option, you know, for
it is.
somebody.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be me,
No, it wouldn't be
but
me.
okay. All right. So our guest today is Cassie. She's somebody we know because she's local, but that's not really why she's our guest. She's our guest because she's been going for a decade basically, and it's she's just another person who loves this festival and goes by herself, which I find interesting.
Hmm.
Has gone with a lot of friends, so we'll probably focus on people like her who love this festival or any kind of festival and why they go and how they go and all those sorts of things. So
Yeah,
here's
love
our
hearing those stories.
yeah, here's our interview with Cassie. We have a special guest today, as we usually always do. Cassie Wanamaker is with us. Cassie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We were talking a little bit off air, and I had to stop her because a lot of times the best stuff happens when you're not recording. So I had to stop.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the fact that we're 6 months or less from this event that we all know and love is Bonnaroo. That's why we're here to talk about it. Cassie, Russ, you and I talk about this every week. That's why we started this show, 2018, because we realized we were talking about this event way more than we should have
Hmm.
year round. And we figured out that probably a lot of other people were as well. And so while we're in the middle of rumor season and we're waiting for the big news, which will be the lineup, we'll get into that here in a minute. Um, there's still plenty to talk about. And what we love doing is sort of diving deep into how people enjoy this festival because, again, as we've learned, it's about way more than just who's playing and what show you've seen or gonna see. And so, anyway, that's why Cassie is here. She's been. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it is you look for, why you go, how you go. And honestly, I think that's kind of what we're probably going to do, Russ, um, for the next couple of episodes. And, until there's news from the festival itself. But I mean, I'm interested, right? It's become
Yeah,
it's become so much more than just the lineup, right?
it has. Yeah, like you said, I almost don't care who's playing. That's like the least important part.
We keep hearing that all the time. And for regular listeners and viewers, Brad, as we've said, is taking a break. He'll be back. Don't know when. Not going to pin him down. He's taking a break, but there's still plenty to talk about. So if you're looking at the screen and saying, "Where's the guy in the shadow and the really bad lighting?" He's not here, but he'll be back. All right, so let's do this. Cassie, introduce yourself a little bit if you don't mind. I Obviously you're wearing a great sweatshirt.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Uh, so you're a fan. Tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you start, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Cassie Wanamaker. Live and work in Chattanooga. Been in Chattanooga since, I guess, 2020, so coming up on 4 years. And then I've been to Bonnaroo 8 times. This will be my ninth year. I've went consecutively from 2014 till now. And I guess it would have been like 11 years at this point if the pandemic didn't
Yep.
happen. Um, yeah, but yeah, so 8 years, and it's truly my favorite thing ever. I talk about it constantly, think about it all day, every day. It gets to me through life.
Isn't that
But
crazy?
it's
It's so
yes,
you laugh when you say that, but you are not alone. There are
I know.
so many of us that we hear from, and you can go on Reddit and wherever, but it's like so many people say, "Oh, my friends, all my coworkers are so sick of hearing me talk about it," but it's a thing, right?
It is.
Just
I mean, it's truly my personality trait, which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's such a huge part of my life in such a
if your
good way.
friends are tired of you talking about it, it's time for new friends.
Period. Period.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning a little bit. Why the first one? Was it and where were you living at the time, and how did you get there? Because this is the detail. Because to me, it's so much about the planning. Uh, like right now, it's December. We're
Yeah.
all planning. If you're listening to this show, we're not talking to people who have no clue about it, right? We're talking to people who love this event. So we're all planning. We're all wondering about the lineup. We're all wondering, do I take this sleeping bag or that sleeping bag? Or how did I do it better than I did before? So tell us about that first one.
Okay. Well, the first one was in 2014. Graduated college in 2014, so just about a month prior to that. And I asked for a ticket for my graduation present from my family, and they bought it for me. Thank goodness. And then I went with a really good friend from college. She and I went together, and then one of her really good friends. So there was three of us. Um, she had been, I think, the year prior, so she had like a little bit of experience. So she basically just told me what all to do, what all to pack, all that good stuff. And then, funny enough, we didn't even pack a canopy though.
Yeah, it's a classic rookie mistake.
Yeah. So we're
Me
just
too.
out here. We're just out here. I think we got in on, I want to say Wednesday night, back when you could come and you didn't have to have your camping pass wasn't an extra cost, so it was kind of just like free reign. You could bring however many cars you wanted. So if I remember correctly, I think we brought three cars to make our campsite bigger, but we didn't even have a canopy, so like what was the point? But anyway, no canopy, but for whatever reason I still fell in love with it, even though the sun beat me up, the walking beat me up. But it was just nice to see, so many different kinds of people coming together and like the genuine happiness that is at the farm. So that's really what brought me back
All right, so
after
where
2014.
was college?
College was at East Tennessee State
Okay,
in Johnson
so you
City.
didn't come you
Hmm.
didn't come far. All right.
No. Mm-mm.
And had you been to festivals before?
That was my first festival
Were
ever.
you a camper?
Hmm. I was, yep. We camped in, I want to say Pod 2,
No, no,
Plaza
no,
2.
no. Beyond Bonnaroo, did you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I camped growing up. I do
Okay.
enjoy camping.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just because there's so many people that I don't camp. I don't camp. I mean, this Bonnaroo is the
Okay.
only time that I'm in a tent or in a sleeping bag or anything similar. Russ, he lives in the bus. That's all he
You're
does.
here right
But
now.
I don't consider that real camping. It's
Yeah.
not tent camping.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet what he's got set up. So, all right, just wanted to establish that. And so, okay, were you guys other than the shade, the canopy? Did you get it right, pretty much, or was it the? I'm trying to remember. '04 weather was still hot,
Yeah.
very very hot, right? It didn't really start cooling down till what 17, 18 at night.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember those early years. 3 o'clock in the morning was just as hot as noon. I don't know what's happened. We'll let the weather people and the conspiracy guys, excuse me, figure that out. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was hot. So, all right,
Hmm.
what was it again? Was it the lineup? Was it you just had a good time with your friends? And are you still coming with those same friends, or is it you're by yourself? So how has it evolved?
I think it was a mix of the lineup and just being there with friends, and just meeting so many like-minded people and people from all over. That's really what brought me back, and like the sense of community that is Bonnaroo. We went to, I think it was we went to 2015 together, but we have not been back together. I've had various like brew crews that I went with here and there, some of the same overlap of people. But this past year, I actually went by myself for the first time, and that was like my favorite thing I've ever done.
Okay.
So, hmm
All right. So let's talk about that. How has your camping experience changed? Because Bonnaroo has changed, and we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks with some folks from C3 and a lot of other people. But that's evolution is sort of been become the theme, I think, right, Russ? With this show, we've talked about not only our evolution, but the festivals. You know, it's gone from a jam band to whatever you want to call it with the EDM now, and in the last couple of years, the big focus has been on the camping experience and how they've offered it. So, how has it changed for you? Obviously, you now bring shade.
Yeah. Shade is a must. Yes, all kinds of shade. Even I even bring an umbrella these days. I'm like, I cannot be out in the sun. But my camping experience has definitely evolved. I will say I've done different like I've done GA and then I've done RV and then camping. I've actually driven back and forth to Chattanooga one year. Didn't even stay the night at Bonnaroo. And then this past year I did single person camping in the Beyond. So that was one of those community camps. I think they used to call it Shiru, but it's back there with like Soberoo, the family camping, and then the Beyond. So it was. I really like that area. It's super quiet and can actually get some sleep and some peace back there when you want to. Um, but my camping has evolved. Like I said, did bring a canopy back in the day, but now like comfort is the most important thing. So my favorite thing to do is I have a Jeep Patriot. So what I'll do is just raise the back hatch and make like a bring a like a mattress topper, I guess is what you would call it, and put it in the back of my Jeep and just it's like a little bed back there and I keep it really well ventilated. And then I also bring a cot in case like I get too hot back there, I can just lay under my canopy. And then I will say I kind of found a life hack last year. I bought a bunch of blackout curtains from the thrift store and put those all around my canopy and clipped them together with those binder clips. And it was pretty cool in there. It was not super hot in there, I will say. So I've definitely improved with the shade and stuff like that.
Have you done group, or do you hook up with a lot of people? You like going by yourself?
I haven't done group, but I did venture over there this year to hang out with some people. I really enjoyed going by myself because like I said, I have so many like different groups of people that are all over the farm that I like to go visit, but I like have a mission to do so many things. I like being by myself so that I can just, go around and do it. But
Yeah, that's kind of you, isn't it, Russ? Kind of a loner.
That's me, especially since I get there on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Kind of
there's
by
so many
myself.
pictures, and I'm sure he'll post one now. But the his bus all by itself in the farm. Um,
I love that.
yeah, and I want to. I mean, seriously, point that out. A lot of people do come by themselves, and there's
Hmm.
a reason. We've said on here many, many times. You don't want to come with somebody who doesn't want to be there, right? It's not a halfway thing. It's not a I'll come and see if I like it kind of event,
Nope.
right? Yeah. It.
Because once you're there, you're there.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
I think I've heard that somewhere before. Once you're there, there's nothing else to do but go have a good
Yeah.
time. So, uh,
Hmm.
do you feel like that last year when you went by yourself was sort of the evolution that that you want, or did you? I mean, you went with people, with friends. That's fun too. It's a
Hmm.
lot of fun to be with
Hmm.
people, like-minded people. So, what has been your favorite year, and why?
Okay. Well, I say this every year is my favorite year. It just keeps getting better every year. It's like, something tops the year before. But 2019 was probably my favorite year besides 2023. But 2019, me and my best friend went, just us two. We had a cute little campsite just right behind Shakedown Street. So it was a really good, easy walk. And we were close to like vendors and stuff like that and close to House of Yes. And then met some of my really good friends that I'm still very close to in 2019. And I know that was the year of the Squarch, but I know most people have a bone to pick with the Squarch, but I thought it was really cute. So I did enjoy that. Of course, I love the arch and everything, but it's like she went away, but the Squarch is kind of cute. Anyway,
Yeah.
but 2019, just the vibes were good. There with my best friend. It was just us two, didn't have to worry about anyone else. And yeah, it was good.
All right. So, who are you hoping that will be on this year's lineup, or and how much do you
Oh,
focus on? lineup?
I really do not focus on the lineup. To me, Bonnaroo is community, and the music is just our entertainment, really. But I will say I have some predictions or some people that I'd like to see. Tame and Paul is my number one. I hope that they are Saturday night at the What. I will say that. And then this may be an unpopular opinion, but I really hope NSYNC is there. Is that a possibility?
I haven't heard any reason why not.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not something I focus on a whole lot,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I'm with
Yeah.
you. You know.
Yeah. Well, I want to see Pretty Lights there, Ludacris, Dave Matthews Band, Khruangbin, Skrillex, Limp Bizkit, Dylan Francis. Those are just a few.
Yeah. When you like last year, um, do you see a lot of shows, or do you end up at camp? I mean, you were by yourself a little, but you said you
Yeah.
have friends that you go see, and that's the other sort of thing. Is it seems like even more and more where there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Um, how many shows are we actually seeing? Type of
Hmm.
thing, which is so weird. I mean, really think about it. It's a music festival, and the more and more we talk to people who are regulars, they see a lot of shows, but it's not like every show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely not in there at 1 p.m. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I am, yeah. I usually am at the campsite during the day at either mine or one of my friends' camps. And then I'll go in around sunset every day usually. And then it just depends on what time I get tired is when I go back to bed.
Yeah. Where are you at
So,
1 a.m.?
usually on Friday and Saturday I'm up, but on Thursday I just usually go to bed at like midnight just to get some sleep.
See, that's a pro. That's
But
pro
on,
tip right there. We keep saying it, and
yeah.
Russ just
And
blows right by
I
it.
ignore it every year. Yeah.
Well, he got to see, well, he stayed up long enough to see DJ Diesel, which was a huge regret of
That's true.
mine. Yeah. Yeah. But on Thursday night, I usually try to go to bed, and then Friday and Saturday, I'm usually up by 1 or at 1. Yeah.
All right. So you said earlier that you had a friend who had gone the year before and was able to offer you some tips. So what are the tips you tell your friends now, the first timers? What's your best pro tips? Obviously, a canopy.
Canopy,
I've
yes.
told the story many times. My first year, I had an umbrella, which just happened to be in the truck, and it was like a sundial. We just kept moving as the sun moved. We moved. It was horrible. Yeah,
Oh, so it was like one of those that you stick on to like a table.
I had a golf umbrella, so it was pretty big. Yes, I had
Yeah.
a 2x3 piece of wood, some cheap plastic sawhorses that just randomly were in the back of my truck. So we had a table, and then I used the umbrella and a bungee cord to hold it in
Okay.
place. And me and the photographer from the paper sat in those chairs, and we followed the shade during the day. It was awful. You think I'm kidding? I mean, we were glad to have that. So when you say canopy, I get it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so again, your tips.
Okay, for a first timer, canopy is number one, and then you must bring either tapestries or bed sheets or blankets or, like I did last year, blackout curtains. Those are essential to surviving this thing. You have to bring those, clip them all the way around your whole canopy, and clip them together with those binder clips, or you can use zip ties, either one. So that is literally number one. Obviously, bring more water than you ever need. I always recommend putting a case in your freezer before, like a week before, and then pulling them out the day of, and then lining the bottom of your cooler with those, and then putting your food on top of it. And then by the end of the weekend, you'll have good cold water still
That's my
with
number.
those
That's my
bottles.
number one.
Hmm.
I
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That way your food
Oh,
doesn't get
yeah.
soggy and you have cold
Hmm.
water to drink. Yep.
Yes, yes.
That's
And then I always try to buy one of those like really big battery powered fans from Walmart. They take like 6D batteries. And I just keep that on me at all times if I'm at the campsite. And then always have one of those hand fans in your backpack. Um, and then always wear a hat, like a big brimmed hat. I at least try to do that during the day if I'm out. And then one of my biggest now that I've just kind of started doing the last 2 years, the biggest life hack to me is do not drink alcohol if at all possible. Just because it makes you so
Oops.
tired, and so when you're when you're hungover, the next day it's
Russ
like, oh
just
my
went.
gosh, I don't want to be here.
Russ just blacked out, I think.
Yeah.
I know. This is just the past 2 years since I've quit drinking that I've like discovered how Bonnaroo can just be elevated if you're not drinking, but obviously it's your own choice. But if you don't drink, I noticed I feel a lot better throughout the weekend. Not as tired, not as angry at life, not as like mad that we're out here in the 100-degree sun. So
Well, it's a
You
good
know,
point. Yeah, because Barry, I think you and I were the only ones who weren't sober the whole weekend. Our whole camp, pretty much, um, back at Camp Nut Butter, right?
yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, sober's a strong word. I never get not sober. I never get blasted at Bonnaroo because it's miserable. And
Yeah.
I've people, uh, I, I've said this since we've been doing this show. Whenever I tell people who don't go that I go to Bonnaroo, they're like, "Oh, it must be a drunken drug fest, whatever." And I'm like, "Not for me, because the last thing I want to be is hungover
Hmm.
at 6:30 in the morning when that sun comes up and
Yes.
I got to go find a porta potty." So, but I do enjoy a beer or a drink. But we said, Russ, to your point, this past year especially, so many people, the sober was a theme. Just put it that
Mhm.
way. Not just in our camp. Won't name names, but you and I were probably the only ones, as you said, having a beer. So six, five of our regular Camp Nut Butter people have decided to, go sober in their lives and happy for them. But we also had several people come up. Um, One of our campmates and said, "I can't believe how many people I've run into who have said this is my first Bonnaroo sober."
Hmm.
So it is definitely a thing. Um, so good to them. I made a joke earlier, and I don't mean to make light of it because that is a big decision. But to your point, and we laughed about it earlier, they're going hard on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. Yeah, don't do that. Eh,
Please don't do
you know,
that.
the inclination
Definitely.
is because it's a party, you're there,
Mhm.
you've spent X number of hours in the vehicle and you get out and you want to hit it hard. It makes for a long, miserable weekend. So we
Yeah.
can't stress that enough. Um, how about Cassie? What sort of tickets are you buying this year? And I'm asking because Bonnaroo made a huge change last year with their camping ticketing, a la carte, whatever you want to call it, system. How did that impact you, or did it? And how last year, and how is it impacting you this year?
Well, I think I've always done GA camping. So I'm going to do that again, or GA ticket. And then I bought my preferred camping or whatever you want to call it for the Beyond already. I bought that. I haven't bought a ticket yet, an actual ticket. So it's only affected me in the way that this Beyond camping pass was like $40 more than it was last year. Um, but besides that, it hasn't affected me. I noticed that they did tiers on the camping passes now. So I thought that was different.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about. I've never done it that way, so I don't know. Is it good, bad? You like it? You don't like it? Do you like being able to pick and choose, or does it feel
Yeah,
like one of the things I've always said about Bonnaroo is it never has felt like they had their hand in my pocket. You know what I
mhm.
mean? They weren't trying to get a dime here and a nickel there. Um, does that does this feel like that or not feel like that? I don't know.
I think it does feel like that, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna go regardless.
Well, and I think that's what
So
they've discovered, right? I
mhm.
mean, Russ, we've talked about that, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
some people can afford. You look at some of these prices, $4,000 for the VIP or whatever, and my first reaction is, "Are you kidding?" But some people have that and don't mind, and are willing to
Mhm.
spend it, obviously, or they wouldn't do it,
Yeah, the big jump,
right?
it seems,
Right.
was the Area 931, which is, where we used to camp, and then until they kicked us
Right.
out. They figured out they could sell that space.
I
Last
know.
year, I think it was, around $500 to camp back there, and this year it went up to 1,000. So I mean, it doubled in price, and it doesn't seem like people
Wow.
are deterred. It seems like if you're back there, how much premium that space is, and you'll pay almost any price.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some folks on in the coming weeks to talk about the details of all that. But eh, I'm not a business major. I'm not good at it. But it seems to me like it's a classic study in supply and demand, and I really
Yeah.
can't wait to see how it works out.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I've always said they know what they're doing, and like you said, somebody's willing to pay it, and if it helps keep the GA ticket price down, what do I care? I mean, good. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Do are you trying to convince any of your friends to go? Are you going by yourself again?
I'm gonna camp alone. I'm gonna go by myself, but like I said, we'll still be hanging out with people in the other camps. But no, I don't think I've made most of my friends go at least once.
That's so funny. When you tell people you
Yeah.
go and then you say, and I go by myself, I can't by myself, how do they react?
Most people are just like, I could never do that by
Yeah.
myself, and I'm like, well, I'm an only child. I live alone. I've always been okay with loneliness, but it's so anyway. Um, it's I like it because I can like get away. So like I can go back to my own private little campsite. It's like not in the middle of a party campsite or like everyone's up 24/7, just like being loud and music. It's like, okay, I'm almost 10 years into this. I like to actually sleep some and like have some peace at times.
Isn't that funny? And that's
So
part of what I want to,
yeah.
what we're going to probably focus on, Russ, the next couple of weeks is just how everybody's experience is different.
Hmm.
Um, you know, some people they want the 24/7 party thing.
Yeah.
Some people like you. I'm more like you. I need my quiet time
Yeah.
and to be able, and I mean, when Russ and I are there, how many shows have we seen together?
Uh,
Have we seen any?
I'm not sure that we've seen one together, honestly.
Now that I think about it, I don't think we have either.
Yeah.
Maybe one where we bumped into each other, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah. To your point, I don't think we ever planned to see a show together and saw it. If we saw a show together, it's because yeah, we ran into each other.
yeah, yeah. I know we did because
Hmm.
we were in the pit for a couple of them,
That's
but
right.
yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't it
Nice.
wasn't like we walked over there together. We just ran into each
No, it's
other.
not like we said, okay, at this time we're gonna go meet over there, and
Yeah. In fact, the last time we tried to, that was that Sunday last year, and you and I both got to the gate, and we were like,
yeah,
it's too
hmm.
hot. we,
Yeah.
we didn't go any far. I
Yeah, I
forgot
think I
about
ended up
that.
walking back.
Yeah, we stopped and got some water or
Hmm.
food and said, "I'm done.
Done.
It's too hot." All right,
Yeah.
Cassie. Again, I think the lineup. We think it's going to drop somewhere in the next 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks rather, somewhere around the 10th.
Mhm.
I was looking 2020. It dropped January 7th, so that's typical. Is this the how you know? Do you wake up that morning and start hitting refresh on your computer, or are you just going to be like, when it happens, it happens?
I wouldn't say I hit refresh, but definitely the day of, I always am like, wow, it's such a good day today. We're going to get something good later. So I always am like really excited.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else? What am I missing, Russ?
What are we missing? Well, you said you're from Chattanooga, and so I had talked about
Yep.
um, I take back roads the entire way. Of course, we're lucky we live that close and can avoid the interstate and all that. And I think that's how we met. I think you heard that and were asking me like, well, exactly which way do you take? Because that sounds pretty good. So
Yeah.
yeah, for those that come from far away, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's so nice to wake up and just drive for an hour and be there.
Yeah, we're lucky.
It really
We're
is.
lucky as
I
far as
know. No,
that.
that's how I was listening to the podcast. I think I started listening in 2021. And then last year, Russ was talking about his back roads way from Chattanooga to the farm. And I was like, I was looking at the maps and I was like, I feel like I'm not seeing what he's talking about. I feel like it's a little deeper than that. So I messaged him and I was like, can you give me the
Yeah.
route? And he did. And I took that route and there was not a single car on the road
You
besides me.
hardly see anyone.
It was
Yeah.
so good.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
So
is.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
gorgeous. Especially when you
mhm.
come over that mountain and you can tune into Bonnaroo radio at that time. Yeah, then it's like, now I'm here.
Hmm.
It's
Yep.
begun.
Yep.
Um, what day do you go? That's the other question. Especially since they've opened it
So,
up. It used to be everybody would get there Wednesday and they would open midnight, then they'd open at 1 a.m. and now they're opening on Tuesday. And Russ, that's when Russ goes, I just think that's awful.
yeah.
That's
It's
such
definitely a long
that's
time.
a long
Definitely a
week,
long time.
man.
Yeah. I for the past several years have went in on Thursday after work.
Okay.
But this past year, got there. I didn't get my campsite set up till about 9:30 p.m. because of like the really long line to get in and all that stuff. So I was like, since this is the only music festival I'm doing anymore, I want to get the most out of it. So I think I'm actually going to go on Tuesday this year, just to by Sunday, I'm like, I probably will be like, I gotta get out of here. But I'm gonna go on Tuesday. I'm gonna go on Tuesday just to get the full
Yeah.
experience because I haven't went before Thursday in several years.
All right. Very cool. All right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time in doing this. And I look forward to seeing you in June on the farm. Russ will
Absolutely.
be there
yes.
Tuesday. He's easy to
Yeah.
find. He's the only
Well, I'll be able to
Yeah.
find him.
it's the only bus
And
in a field for a day and a half.
Yeah. Well, there's usually still cell phone service when you get there that early. So
yeah,
Yeah,
at that point, you can
exactly.
still use your phone.
yeah.
Hmm.
All
hmm
right. Well,
So yeah, we'll meet up. I tried to find him last year but couldn't find him.
Yep.
So
just look for the hat.
Yeah.
I was looking for the little finger puppet, but I just couldn't find it.
All right. So, see, there you go. Another, everybody has their own way, right? But
Yeah.
there's always a common thread. We just like this and we talk about it. That was so much fun to hear her say, her friends and coworkers are tired of hearing her talk about it. How many times have we heard somebody say that?
Yeah. She's not the only one.
No, she's not the only one. Not even close to the only one. So, I know I do it, and I know you can see the eye rolls. Oh, here he goes again.
Yep.
You know, you get the eye roll, and then you get the I would never do that
Yep. And we've all
response,
got
right?
friends and family that react that way.
Right.
But just the
I
fact
would
that we're
never
here
do.
in December talking about a festival that won't happen for another 6 months is
Right.
pretty telling.
That's exactly right. All right, so coming up, we've got another couple of guests similar, and then sometime in January, you guys could probably guess as well as we can. We hope to have some folks directly involved with the festival to come on and talk about. I hope the lineup, but also certainly whatever changes. Um, what I want to talk about, Russ, is the changes they made last year, how they worked, didn't work, what they liked, didn't like, and then what they're going to do next year. And
Definitely. And
that's a
if you go back and listen to that episode, we had Corey and Brad on when they announced these changes. They came on and talked about it. That was a good conversation. So it'd
it's
be
a
neat to
terrific.
have them back on and talk about, yeah, like you said, what worked, what didn't, and just feedback and how it's going to be next year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Looking forward to that.
Hmm.
And you're talking about going back. I hope if you guys are listening to this one and you haven't listened to the Danny Clinch interview we did last week, please go back and listen. I'm still so excited
Please
about
do,
that, and
yeah.
it makes me want to go back and listen to the David Bruce interview again as well.
Hmm.
Another photographer, they're both friends. So um, anyway, all right. So that's it, Russ. Man, I don't know if we'll talk before Christmas. I think we will. Happy Christmas, happy holidays. Tell
Yes,
your family hello.
you too, yeah. Have Merry Chrysler, and yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll probably talk before then, but who knows?
I hope Santa brings you that case of Pabst.
It's the only thing on my list.
I know it is. All right, everybody. Thank you, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.
Consequence Podcast Network.